5, 4, 3, 2. What up, blessings and favor? Welcome to a special Mother's Day episode of OurCinema. I'm your host, Jarrell the Griot. And man, I'm going to just start off by giving all the praise and all the thanks and all the shout outs to all the mothers out there. Y'all are so dope. All that y'all do for the world, man. Such a thankless job. A lot of things go unlooked about what y'all contribute to society as a whole. So I'm just going to say to all the mothers, thank y'all so much. That's how we're going to start the show off. But y'all already know what we're going to do here on OurCinema. We're going to talk about some of the most prominent black films. We're going to talk about some unsung gems in the black film space, man. We're going to have a good time. We're going to play a little You Ain't Seen This Movie. And I got a special guest for y'all today too, man. So, but as I always say, look at me knocking over stuff. As I always say, I would much rather show you than tell you. So if you ready, I'm ready. Let's go. Tell them what it is, man.
Throughout time, we've made our way in history. Yeah. Creative minds showing you how it's supposed to be.
Come on.
This classic.
Sing it.
Ooh, yeah. Talk about it.
Talk about it.
You know it's all about spreading love through our stories. Our cinema. Our cinema. Our cinema. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know we're going to talk about it.
Our
better act right. You ain't seen this movie. OurCinema. It's for the culture, baby. All right, so today on this Mother's Day edition of OurCinema, we're going to be talking about one of my mom's favorite films. Now, this film was an epic historical fiction based on a Pulitzer Prize winning book. And, you know, book sold 5 million copies. So the book was dope. Book went up. You know what I'm saying? But then the book got made into a movie, and the movie did almost 100 million in the box office worldwide. That's crazy. Then they took the movie and turned it into a Broadway musical that did another 100 million on stage in Broadway in New York before closing. We are talking about the 1985 classic, full of triumph, full of tragedy, full of beautiful black faces. We talk about Color Purple. Let's talk about it. So, The Color Purple was critically acclaimed as such a phenomenal movie, but it had a lot of haters back in the late 80s when Steven Spielberg, who was the director of the film, came out with it. This can be said to be one of his most underrated films of all time, though it plays a prominent role in the black community and in the lives of a lot of older black women, right? The movie begins with young Celie, 14 years old, early 1900s, and she's pregnant with what we thought was her father's child. So it already started off with some wildness to bring you into the movie. We then go on to just stay with her over a course of about 30 years. And, you know, we see her go through all of these various forms of just life happenings, obstacles, trauma, abuse. I mean, she experiences love. It's just a life story that just tells a lot about the trope of a black woman during the early 1900s. Once again, we looking at a movie with a beautiful star-studded black cast. We got Oprah Winfrey. We got Danny Glover, Whoopi Goldberg. Man, I know a pop-out character that everybody loved in that movie was Suge Avery, played by Miss Margaret Avery. Like, it was such a phenomenal cast, and they did such a great job in telling this story. Now, I believe, in my opinion, that this movie was a product of being in the right place at the right time. Because even though it got a lot of scrutiny when it came out, as I said before, it did almost 100 million. So people was going to see it and talking about it. Today, I don't believe that this movie would have been anywhere near as successful because of some of the triggering topics that it's touched on in the movie. And ironically, though Steven Spielberg got a lot of scrutiny for this movie and a lot of backlash for this movie, he put a mild depiction on what the book was doing. So I suggest you go read the book and go watch the movie because they always say the book is better. And so with the scrutiny that Steven Spielberg got for his PG rated version of what the book was doing, I can only imagine how people will respond to this movie today, especially coming from a white director. So many triggering topics. I mean, they go into misogyny. You witness domestic violence through a lot of Cillian's life and other women in the movie. They show alcohol abuse because of trauma, like same-sex couples. Like it was a lot going on in that movie in the early 1900s. And I'm just going to be like, look, it wouldn't been able to come out today. Hands down. But we're going to go ahead. I really had to fish through this one to get some scenes that I would think are great for the Act Right segment. Only because, like I said, I don't want to be triggering nobody. This is a place where we're supposed to come and have a good time and fun. But there was some very triumphant moments in this movie. So we are going to look at a couple in a segment I like to call Better Act Right. So this first scene from The Color Purple that I wanted to show here on Act Right was somewhat long of a scene. It's about 4.5 minutes. So hang on with me. But it just continues to elevate. And it was so much happening at the same time. Like, you laughing, you are feeling some fear for one character, you're feeling like triumphant feelings for another character. Like, it was so much, is comedic really, like it was so much happening. So let me give y'all a little backstory. We're towards the end of the movie. They're at, I believe this was like Easter, or I think it was Easter. So they're sitting at Easter dinner, right? Suge just let Mr. know that Celie was leaving with her and her boyfriend or fiance, husband, Grady, whoever this dude named Grady. They was about to leave, letting Mr. know that he was about to leave. And then all hell breaks loose. All right? So, yo, check out this scene.
1 penny of my money, not one thin dime.
Did I ever ask you for anything? Did I ever ask you for anything? I
She
never
turned
asked you
up,
for nothing.
finally.
Sorry ass hand and married. Nothing. I never asked you for nothing.
Oh,
Now,
Sophia Holmes.
There go Oprah.
Sophia Holmes.
Sophia was a prominent character.
Too.
She had some dope scenes too.
You going where?
I'm going with Miss Celie and Suge, because I'm fixing to sing.
That's Hoppo's side joint, but Hoppo was married to Sophia
Pass me them
before.
peas, yeah. Now listen, Squeak.
Oh, my name ain't Squeak.
What?
My name is Mary Agnes.
It's Mary Agnes.
What?
She said, I'm changing.
Mary
That's
Agnes.
Lawrence Fishburne's father right there.
What?
Smith, Mary, who gives a damn? Boy, if you gonna let this little nappy-head gal sit here and cuss you out like that, you sitting at the head of your own dinner table and you acting like a waiter.
That's
Hush
supposed to be
your
his
fool,
dad.
always meddling in somebody's business. Sophia home now. Just hush up.
She'll be back. She'll got talent. She can sing. She got
Hey, young, stop
spunk.
going ham on
She
this.
can talk to anybody. She can stand up and be noticed. But what you got? You're ugly, you're skinny, you're shaped funny, and you're too scared to open your mouth to people. All you fit to do is be Suge's maid. Take out a slop jar and maybe cook her food. And you ain't even that good of a cook anyway. Well, she's a lot better than that first wife.
Hey,
man.
young,
And this
why,
house ain't
bro?
been clean good since my first wife died. And nobody crazy enough to marry.
He's going ham on her.
What you gonna do?
And she been
Hide
taking it
yourself
for
the
like
phone.
30-some years.
Or maybe somebody let you work on that railroad. Make me sweep out the caboose.
Yo,
Any more letters come?
Could be,
yo,
could be not.
hold
Who's
on.
to
So
say?
let me pause that right quick. So, what was going on was, like, he had been hiding letters that her sister Nettie, after, you gotta watch the movie, but he was hiding her letters from Celie for her entire life. Like, they was writing, they probably broke up at probably like 16. This probably like 30 years later, and he been hiding all the letters that she sent her, so she thinking she dead. It's crazy. So finally, while he was out, her and Suge found the letters. And so that's where all this rage and all of this like, hey man, you are a dirtbag individual. All this energy is coming from. Let's continue.
Celie, no, I can't promise you. Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
Everything you. So, in this next scene, yet another one that I like to call triumphant. It also had a great soundtrack to it, so that's always dope. But let me give you a little backstory on this scene. So, those of y'all who don't know who Suge Avery was, she was basically like that woman that got away to Mr. So, throughout the whole movie, Mr.'s been chasing in and fawning over this woman. Mind you, he's married to Celie, so that's a whole nother conversation. But Miss Suge Avery had her own problems that she had been dealing with, her own trauma with her father, and things like that. Her father was a pastor, and because she was what some would consider they called her a juke joint Jezebel. She was one of the ones. She be in the club, she was in the club singing and all that good stuff. So, that was looked down upon in the religious community during that time, clearly. So because her father was a pastor, he kind of disowned her, stopped talking to her. And so this moment is kind of a meeting of two worlds, okay? And you'll see what I mean. Check out this scene. So she's singing at the juke jump, her number one hit that she wrote for Miss Celie. And there go her daddy in the church. Now, I was always questioning, I'm like, so they had the juke joint on Sunday morning? Like, and they that close that they hear one to another.
Y'all sing, God's trying to tell you something. Sing, God's trying to tell you something.
And they start blowing. You know how them country Baptist churches be going. They about to go off.
So let me tell you something.
And she hear that music. There goes Lawrence Fishburne right there. And I think that's her sister. Maybe I made that up.
Speak, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to me.
There go old Mister. This after Celie done left and everybody moved on with their life, and he just reflecting.
Until you spoke to me. My soul. Oh, speak, Lord. Speak to me.
And she's walking to the church.
Speak, my Lord. Yeah, speak to me. Ooh, I love you, Lord. Speak, my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They about to turn up.
Wonder why.
Hey.
I'm trying to tell you something.
So it's like the meaning of two words, because you got the juke joint folk, the juke joint folk about to come in church, and everybody getting together. You better. I bet that's her mother. Though the movie has so many dark elements, it's so much light in the movie as well, and a testament to joy always comes in the morning. It was a scene that I did want to show, but go watch it because I didn't want to give you the full spoiler. But the last scene in the movie, if you watch the whole movie and get to the last scene, I promise you you'll break down. It's almost impossible. Your first time seeing it is you're gonna break down. You're gonna break down. But okay. But yeah, that was Act Right, man. Those were two of the best. I won't even say the best scenes in the movie. Those are just two scenes that stuck out to me. Two scenes that I would share with general public that have never seen it. Just to entice you a little bit. Maybe you might go turn it on, go read the book, or do something. You feel me? All right. So now that we done with Act Right, we gonna go into our next segment. I know everybody loves You Ain't Seen This Movie, but we got a special guest that I'm gonna bring on. So make sure you stay tuned. All right, come on. All right, y'all. So in honor of our Mother's Day drop, our Mother's Day edition of OurCinema, we got a super special guest coming in and kicking it with us on OurCinema today for our You Ain't Seen This Movie segment. I mean, it's only right that we have Mother Griot to come for Mother's Day. That only makes sense. So, without further ado, let's give it up for CIO, life coach, and all of the various things that go along with that. Mother of all the PTAs that I've ever been to, every school I've ever been. I mean, the accolades can go on and on and on. Let's give it up for Miss Glenda Pittman. What up? What up?
Hello.
What's going on?
Not much. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. It's the Mother's Day episode, so I figure why not bring moms on? That only makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me.
Of course, it's because we picked your favorite movie, well, one of your favorite movies, to feature on this episode. So we had to bring you on. So like, let's just get into how you got connected. Was this original as soon as it came out? Was you just a fan, or like how did that work?
Well, actually, I was a fan as soon as it came out. Funny story. It was the first movie that your father and I saw.
That is crazy. Okay, this is an exclusive. This is an exclusive. I did not know that. That's wild. Mind you, this came out in '86, so that was early. That's OG right there.
Yep.
Wow. So is that why it has its significance, or that was just like a part of it?
That was just a part of it.
Okay.
Just a part of it.
So what's the connection? Like what made you so like enamored by this movie?
Well, I think for the most part, it's probably one of the first movies that really showed the female connection in terms of helping each other out, trying to support each other to move forward. Because as everyone knows, that relationship between Celie and Suge, Celie and Sophia, they were, while Celie was kind of passive, she was still a strong woman to have endured the years of, abuse and neglect, so to speak. And so for me, it was just seeing, on screen, the strong Black women.
Facts. Yeah, man, because I mean, all of them equally and in their own perspectives went through something traumatic throughout the entirety of that movie. Like,
yes.
I guess most and all of them actually came from origin story of trauma and abuse. Mm-hmm. Was receiving that from their fathers, so I guess they all kind of had some. I wouldn't go as far as to say trauma bonded, because I think, like you said, they definitely built the bond in helping one another and advocating for one another. But you made a point because you started reading the book again, Alice Walker's book, Pulitzer Prize winning book, and you said that the comparison between the movies and how they portrayed a lot of what was going on, it was a little different. What was some of the things that stuck out?
Well, some of the main things were, of course, the movie did not go into the intimate relationship between Celie and Suge. They gave you a little hint.
Because they got way crazy in the book, from what I hear.
Yeah, well, they actually had a strong intimate relationship.
Yeah.
And for Celie, through the book, that was her first time really feeling love.
From
Because
Suge.
from Suge, yeah. Because one of the lines from the movie, Suge is asking her about, her relations with Mister,
Yeah.
and Celie said it feel like he going to
He
toilet on
going
me.
the toilet on you. He
Yeah, he
just
going
get
to
on
toilet
top of
on
me
me.
and do his business.
Exactly. And so when she got with Suge, you know, taught her about her body and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that was really interesting in the book is how Mr. was portrayed. Early in the book, of course, he was, hell on wheels,
Right.
mean, nasty, abusive. But midway through the book, through the end of the book, Mr. actually turned his ways around and
Turn his life
actually
around.
he actually became a very endearing man. And in the book, he and Celie actually became friends, and he asked Celie to marry him again.
Wow.
She told him no.
Yeah, clearly.
But
Because she was with, what you call it then, by then, right? Wasn't her and Suge like an actual couple?
Well, see,
Or at that point?
Suge had her ways. Okay,
Facts.
so Suge, while they were a couple, Suge ran off with a 19-year-old man. This is in the book.
Say
Suge
what?
ran off.
Not the dude. What's his name? Grady.
Not Grady.
Not Grady.
No, great. No, she left Grady. Actually, it's funny we talking about the book rather than the movie, but in the book, Grady ran off with Mary Agnes. Squeak. Yeah, they ran off.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
During the whole discussion about Paul, not Paul, and when Paul, not Paul died, Celie and Nettie, they got the house. And so Celie left Memphis to come back to Georgia to fix up the house. Well, while Celie was gone, Suge had an affair with a 19-year-old.
Hey, Suge was a wild girl, man. She was a wild girl.
Yeah. And so while Celie was back in Georgia, she and Mr. became, friends. And the other funny thing was Mr. started sewing. So, in the movie where you see Celie is making those pants for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, Mr. starts sewing and he's making shirts to go with the pants.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was.
So we basically didn't get the whole story for these folks.
No, I would encourage everyone, if you whether you like the Color Purple movie or not, I would encourage you to go and read the book, or listen, get it on audio or whatever. It's about 7 hours, not that long. But
wow.
Yeah.
So do you feel like if there were some level of a remake that kind of did, how we've seen like these limited series type of jumps, would you be interested, if casted correctly, of course, and all of that stuff? Would you be interested in a limited series that kind of flushes out that story a little bit more?
Yeah, I would, because actually, this is like one of my favorite movies and favorite books, and I've seen The Color Purple. In the movie, I went to New York and
that's what I was just about to get into. You've seen it in New York and you've seen it in DC.
And seen it in DC, as well as small theaters. The Prince George's Playhouse down at Harmony Hall. So it's one of my favorites. And of course, whenever, each time you see something a little different, So yeah, it's I love it.
That's what's up. Well, since you love it so much, I figure we go ahead and get to the real reason why you came on here today. I know you was somewhat of a studious individual in all your schooling days. So when you heard about this quiz, you went ahead and started studying. That's why she went back to the book on them, y'all. She ain't really do it just for a simple pleasure. She was trying to make sure that I ain't hit her with no questions that she couldn't answer.
Right.
But we're gonna see on a game show that I like to call You Ain't Seen This Movie. Y'all already know if you haven't watched already. If you have, you already know. But if you haven't, let me explain to you how You Ain't Seen This Movie is going to go. So, I'm going to give you 4 questions. in 25 seconds, similar, we know you watch Family Feud till it ain't nobody's business. So you know how fast money goes. You got 4 questions, 25 seconds. You got to get at least 3. I'm confident that you can get at least 3 of these right now, okay? Because I know how much of a movie buff and how much of this particular movie you enjoy. All right? So show up. It's Mother's Day. Show up. Show up for the people today.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm going to do my best.
All right. Let's get 25 seconds on the clock. On your mark. Get set. Go. Which spelling word made Miss Silly giggle? Woo.
Ooh.
Woo. What article of clothing could Sophia and Harpo both fit?
Pants.
Squeak was mistaken when she thought it was whose juke joint?
Theirs.
What was Harpo doing when he asked to saddle the horse?
Playing.
Okay. All right. So, and I'm going to go back and give you the first one again. Listen carefully. Which spelling word made Miss Silly giggle?
God, I see her face. Iron.
Okay. Iron. So that's it. That's the answer. That's the answer you put in. So for number 1, you said, which spelling word made Miss Silly giggle? You said iron. The answer is stocking. Stocking. Remember when she pulled up the dress and she said,
yeah.
and laughed and giggled. Okay.
Right.
Number 2, what article of clothing could Sophia and Harpo both fit? You said pants. That is correct. We also would have took breeches. Because Sophia's like, Harpo, where you going in them breeches? You remember? Okay. So number 3, Squeak was mistaken when she thought it was whose juke joint. You said theirs, i.e. ours, because she's like, Harpo, I thought this was our here juke joint when he said that he could dance with his wife if he wanted to because it's his juke joint.
This here my juke joint.
This here my juke joint. Okay, and number 4, what was Harpo doing when asked to saddle the horse? You said playing. The answer was he was getting to it. Why was it? Why was it that? Because both times when he was a kid and when he was older, and Mr. said, Harpo, ain't my horse saddled yet? And what he say?
I'm getting to it,
I'm getting to it, Pop. I'm getting to it. That's what he said.
No. That wasn't.
What's the problem?
No, I don't like that.
All right, folks. So this is what y'all about to see. Glenda Pittman, when it comes to stuff going her way, she's gonna get it like that. That's what's gonna happen. So what are you calling a technical foul on? What answer do you feel like should be you? Because we've given grace on here. You know, I went back. Your seconds was already up. I gave you the extra time. You know, we give grace. So what answer do you want to dispute?
No, I'll take number 1. Okay. Stockings.
Yes.
Now I haven't visualized.
Okay.
I'll take that. But that number 4 question.
Okay.
That wasn't.
Okay.
That wasn't phrased correctly.
It wasn't phrased correctly.
No.
So what? Okay. So if I would have just said what was Harpo's answer when asked, was the horse done saddling yet?
Right. Yeah.
You would have said, okay. Yeah. I can see once again. Y'all know how it goes, man. I'm a man of grace. I believe we all deserve it. And when you give a reputable case, I'm gonna hear you out. And we're gonna go to the judges. Judges say we're gonna get that to you. So therefore, 3 out of 4, technically, we all know you've seen this movie. You know what I'm saying? You've seen this movie to the ends of the earth. I probably was quoting this movie way earlier than I was supposed to be quoting it. Because as you see, it came out in 86. I wasn't born until after that. And I was quoting that movie very early. So this has been a staple in my life. I've probably seen it a lot of times. It was full of a lot of trauma, but as you guys know, if you ever seen the movie, if you haven't, I would encourage you to go watch it. I'm going to say trigger warning, because a lot of the things that as we talked about in the Let's Talk About It segment, a lot of things that was going on, which reality for the time, reality for the time. But today, people a little more, sensitive to understanding people's plights and all that. So it might be a little triggering, but great movie. Has a great, great ending to the movie. I don't know what the book ending is. We're going to have to go back and check that out. So go read the book. Go listen to the audio book, whatever. But I think that it's definitely a good watch.
The ending is the same.
Okay. All right. So the end is the same, guys. So good ending. Good ending. It comes full circle. But yeah, man, any other last points, themes or anything in reference to The Color Purple that you want to share with the people before we get up out of here?
All I can say, for me, it was a great movie, a great play, and definitely a great book. And I encourage those of you who have not seen the book, have not seen the play or the movie, watch it.
Yeah, it's a tearjerker, especially when you get all up in your feels. It's a tearjerker for sure.
Yeah. So,
well, Mother, I appreciate you for coming on here. Oh, you was about to say something else?
Well, no, the only thing I was going to add there is that it's amazing that for Steven Spielberg, this was one of his most underrated movies.
Facts. Yeah, it was.
Very surprising.
It was. He got a lot of flack for this movie.
Yes, a lot.
He got a lot of flack for this movie. And I mean, I like historical fiction anyway, but it's just like I feel like it was too accurately depicted for, a lot of people to be able to handle at that time. Mm-hmm. We was just, becoming Black liberated, that was a time when we was trying to look at ourselves in highest regard, which rightfully so. But, and then a white man making that movie, might have rustled some feathers for sure. But like I said, it was a great story. That's the biggest part. It was a great story.
Well written.
Yeah, absolutely. But so, like I said, thank you so much for joining us here on Our Cinema. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you.
Always been the most awesomest mom, holding it down as most Black women do. You know what I'm saying? You are responsible for creating the phenomenal specimen that sits before y'all. You feel me? A lot of the confidence, a lot of the know-how, the savvy, the work ethic, all of that stuff. You know what I mean? You instilled from an early age and made sure I was always striving for excellence. So for that, and I'm sure our cinema audience thanks you. And yeah, man, this was fun. We gotta figure out how we can get you. She might be coming out with a podcast, y'all. We've been talking about that for a while, so we'll see. She might have something dropping on Artful Conductor Cinema, Artful Conductor TV, excuse me, coming soon. Now that she's made her Our Cinema debut, so yes. We'll see you back.
All right,
we'll see you back.
Just let me know.
Absolutely. You got any shout outs, any plugs? Anybody want to give love to, man?
Well, first of all, thank you, son.
Oh.
And of course to our village,
Facts.
Mr. and Ms. King, Dietrich King, Facts. Letitia and Ron Tolbert, the Robinsons, our village.
Absolutely. Shout out to y'all, man.
I didn't do this all by myself.
Absolutely. She had a lot of help. All right, y'all. We'll be right back with more Our Cinema, The Color Purple. Let's go. All right, folks. So we've gotten to our last segment of the show. Segment I like to call For the Culture. Now, what we do in this segment is we rate the movies from 0 to 100 on the For the Culture meter, based on how we feel like it was, how impactful it was, what element did it bring, how did it depict us, all that good stuff, right? So in terms of the movie The Color Purple, I will rate this movie a mere 56%. 56. Why would I rate it 56? Well, let's start off with the good stuff. As I said before, awesome Black cast. gave a lot of these actors the ability to be on the big stage. I think this was Oprah's acting debut. Actually, yes, I'm pretty sure it was. And, you know, she went on to do great things in the production space. So, you know, I definitely appreciate it for that. Where it was losing me, you know, it also was, you know, a tragedy, a triumph story, you know, underdog story, all those good things. I wouldn't necessarily say women empowerment, but it showed a woman going through all of these trials and obstacles, and she ended up overcoming. So, you know, that could be motivational in a sense. But in terms of the things that was a downside for me that made me give it such a low score. For one, as I said, as I continue to stress, all of the trauma. Now, I am completely realistic and understanding. This is about 40 years post-slavery that this movie is set in. So I do understand. And it's in Georgia. I get it. I understand. But the depiction, like, man, starting off the movie with her being pregnant by her dad, like that's a wild way to start a movie. And then like 3 scenes in, she's having the baby, quick miracle of childbirth moment before he takes her and walks off into the night and tells her she better never tell nobody but God because it'll kill her mother. So for that, man, that's wild. Secondly, you know, it was directed by a white dude. Now, you know, just me personally, it's for the culture. So who better to tell our story than us? But this is, of course, in 1986, where there wasn't as many opportunities for black producers, black directors in Hollywood. So that is also a realistic aspect that I can come to terms with. But that still doesn't change my mind about why I'm taking points away, right? Lastly, as my mom said last segment, Steven Spielberg painted Mr. as just the overall no-nonsense villain with no real story. We know nothing about this man other than he gets constantly abused by his dad and talk about how trash of a man he is. He lost the love of his life in Suge Avery because she was for the streets. Like, he had his own plight and his own story that he didn't play to at all. And it kind of would have made a lot more sense in terms of why he was so angry and treating Celie the way that he was. So for that, I'm also going to take points off. So overall, like I said, it's a great movie. I'm going to give it a great movie. But in terms of its impact and its validity and being for the culture, I'm only going to have to give it a 56. Sorry. Great movie, as I said. But what are you going to do? Well, man, yet again, what would they say? Another Sunday gone, another movie seen. You feel me? Or not seen. But, man, I thank y'all for joining me. I want to take this moment before we close to give some special mothers direct shout outs on the show. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day to, of course, my mom. You know what I'm saying? I want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law, or my future mother-in-law, Miss Willie. All right. Happy Mother's Day. And to the Clements women, Grandma Clements and Aunt Rosa and Aunt Mary. Happy Mother's Day to y'all. All right. All right. Even Aunt Benita, because you got the dog. So shout out to you too for on the Mother's Day love, man. Shout out to my Aunt Didi. Shout out to my cousin Tish and Caprice. Shout out to my grandmother Nanny. Shout out to Net. I mean, these are people that really contributed to my upbringing and made sure that I became the person that I was supposed to become and the person that's sitting before y'all here today. So shout out and we could be here all day because black women have greatly influenced and shaped and molded my life. So utmost gratitude. There's so many more I could name, and if I didn't name you individually, just know that you contributed, you matter, and happy Mother's Day. I hope you enjoy your day. Hope it's full of love and appreciation and thanks and good food, whatever it is that make your smile, your soul smile. Okay, that's what I want. That's my wishes for you and all of the mothers out there. So from all of us, all of me here at OurCinema, we like to say thank you to the mothers. Shout out to y'all. And until next time, this is your boy Jarrell, aka Jarrell the Griot. Hey, Jarrell is a throwback, and most of y'all knew Jarrell. That's why I said that. But this is your boy Jarrell the Griot, man. Blessings and favor.
OurCinema.
OurCinema. It's for the culture, baby.